The planet Krivos was a harsh place. Its sky burned orange at dawn, and the jagged mountains were carved from black rock that seemed to pierce the clouds. Human miners and explorers had come here for years, searching for rare minerals that could power colonies across the galaxy. But Krivos was not empty. Hidden among its forests and caves lived the Rhinari, a fierce alien species with sharp claws, powerful legs, and intelligence that rivaled humanity. Commander Rylan stood at the edge of the human colony, staring at the forest beyond. He had been sent with a small team to scout a nearby area for resources. The ground beneath his boots was rough, dotted with metallic stones that glinted in the light. He could hear the soft hum of the colony's power generators behind him, the lifeblood of human industry. Rylan, over here, called Dr. Lyra, the team's biologist, from a narrow canyon below. Her voice carried excitement and caution. Rylan descended quickly, careful not to trip on the rocky slope. "What is it?" he asked. "You need to see this," she said, pointing to a small creature huddled in a pile of leaves. At first, Rylan thought it was a Rhinari adult, but its size and the softness of its fur told a different story. It was a cub, no bigger than a human child, with golden brown fur and wide, intelligent eyes that reflected both fear and curiosity. One of its legs seemed bent at an awkward angle. Rylan crouched beside it, careful not to frighten it. "Is it hurt?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Yes, it must have fallen or been attacked. Look at its leg, it's twisted badly. If we leave it here, it won't survive the night. Krivos's predators. And the weather." Her voice trailed off. Rylan felt a twinge of doubt. The Rhinari were not creatures humans could easily approach. They were proud, territorial, and known to attack intruders without hesitation. But he also felt something else, a tug at his conscience. "We can't just leave it," he said finally. The cub made a low, soft whine. Its eyes locked on Rylan's, and for a moment the forest seemed to fall silent. It was as if the creature understood that humans had a choice, help or ignore. Rylan reached out slowly, letting the cub sniff his gloved hand. The creature flinched, then leaned slightly closer, trusting him. "We need to get it back to the colony," Lyra said. "We can treat its leg, feed it, and then—" She hesitated, aware of what they were doing. "Then we return it," Rylan finished. He hoped it would be that simple. He didn't yet know that nothing on Krivos was simple, especially when Rhinari lives were involved. The journey back was tense. The cub stayed quiet, resting in Lyra's arms. Its small body trembled, not from cold but from fear. The forest seemed alive around them, shadows moving as if watching. Rylan scanned constantly, knowing the Rhinari could be nearby. Hours later, they reached the human colony. The small settlement was a cluster of metallic buildings, surrounded by fences and watchtowers. Colonists stopped their work to stare at the unusual cargo, whispers spreading quickly. A Rhinari cub in human hands was not something anyone expected to see. "Dr. Lyra, we need a containment area," Rylan said. "Not a cage, just a secure place where we can care for it without stress." Lyra nodded. She led the cub into the lab, where medical equipment and heat lamps already hummed with life. The cub sniffed its new surroundings cautiously but stayed calm in her presence. As they worked, Rylan stayed at the door, keeping an eye on the perimeter. He knew the Rhinari patrolled the forest nearby. A cub missing from their territory would not go unnoticed. By evening, the cub had eaten a small portion of synthetic protein and curled up under a warm blanket. Lyra studied it with fascination. "It's more intelligent than we expected. Look at how it watches everything." Rylan nodded. "Yes, but we can't underestimate the Rhinari. Someone's going to notice this." As he predicted, the first signs came at night. The colony's alarms blared, and watchtowers picked up fast-moving shapes in the distance. The Rhinari had found the human intruders near their cub. Their ships were silent, sleek, and deadly, moving with precision. Rylan gathered his team in the command center. "They're here," he said calmly. "We don't know their intentions yet, but we need to be ready for anything. Evacuation points active, defense protocols online. Keep the cub safe at all costs." Outside, the Rhinari scouts circled the colony. Their red eyes reflected intelligence and anger. One of their leaders, a massive figure with glistening black scales, observed from a ridge. He was not just a warrior but a parent, and the humans had touched what he considered sacred. Back inside, the cub stirred. It made a soft chirping sound, almost like a plea. Rylan felt a strange connection. He realized that in this moment the cub was more than just an animal. It was a symbol a symbol of a choice: fight or understand, war or peace. The night was tense. The Rhinari did not attack outright but circled, observing, waiting. The humans tried to send a peaceful message, but communication with the alien species was limited. No translator could convey the subtleties of emotion, only patterns and gestures. By morning, small craft from the Rhinari hovered near the colony. They were unarmed but intimidating. A single envoy approached on foot, stepping carefully onto the rocky surface near the colony's edge. It carried no weapon but had a commanding presence. Rylan met it at the boundary. The creature's eyes were sharp, studying every movement. Its voice came out in clicks and hums, translated by the colony's universal translator. "You have taken what is not yours," it said. The words were simple but carried authority. "Return the cub or face consequences." Rylan raised his hands. "We mean no harm. The cub was injured. We saved it. We will return it once it is safe." The envoy tilted its head. "Your species takes without understanding. The cub is ours. It is sacred." Rylan's stomach tightened. "We understand that. But it was alone, hurt. We could not leave it to die." The envoy's eyes flicked toward the cub, who was now peeking out from the lab window. It was quiet yet aware. Its golden fur shone in the morning light. The envoy's posture stiffened, a mix of relief and anger. "You saved it," the envoy said finally. "Yet you claim it as your own?" "This is dangerous," Rylan nodded. "We do not claim it. We only protect it." The envoy studied him for a long moment, then gestured to its companions. They withdrew slightly, moving back to their ships. Rylan exhaled quietly. For now, the confrontation was paused, but he knew it would not last. Back inside the lab, Lyra knelt beside the cub, stroking its fur. "You have caused a lot of trouble, little one," she said softly. The cub blinked as if understanding and nuzzled her hand. Rylan joined them. "This isn't just about a cub," he said. "This could start a war if we're not careful. The Rhinari are strong and they care deeply about their young. One wrong move." He left the sentence unfinished. The weight of it hung in the room like a shadow. Lyra looked at him with concern. "We saved a life, Commander." "That's not wrong." "No," Rylan admitted. "But sometimes doing what is right is also dangerous. Sometimes it is the spark that ignites the fire." The colony went about its day, but tension remained. Scouts kept watch on the horizon. Sensors tracked movements in the forest. And every Rhinari ship in the sky was a reminder that this was no ordinary mission. That night, as Rylan walked through the quiet corridors of the colony, he thought about the cub. He wondered what it saw in humans. Did it understand kindness, fear, loyalty? Or was it simply surviving, instinct guiding it? Then a soft sound reached his ears. A chirp, a whistle, a voice not human yet filled with life. The cub had stepped out of its containment area, wandering toward him. Rylan knelt, letting the tiny creature sniff his hand. "You're brave," he whispered. "But brave alone doesn't keep you safe here." The cub pressed its small head against his palm, warm and real. In that moment, Rylan felt a bond form, fragile but undeniable. It was more than survival. It was trust. From the forest beyond, shadows shifted. Rhinari eyes gleamed in the dark, watching, calculating. They were aware. They were patient. And they would not forget. Rylan knew that tomorrow would bring choices no human had faced on Krivos before. Choices that could lead to friendship, understanding, or war. For now, though, he returned to the lab carrying the cub in his arms. The night was long, filled with whispers of possibility. He did not yet know that this small creature, injured and alone, would change the fate of two species forever. And as the first stars appeared over Krivos, shining faintly against the burning orange sky, one truth became clear. A war might begin over a cub, but it could also begin a story far greater than anyone had imagined. The morning sun rose over Krivos, painting the jagged mountains in gold and crimson. The human colony stirred to life, but an uneasy tension lingered. Commander Rylan walked along the main corridor, his steps purposeful. Every eye followed him, every whisper carried concern. The Rhinari envoy had left, but their presence remained like a shadow over the settlement. Dr. Lyra joined him, carrying a tray with the cub's breakfast. The small creature stirred at the smell, stretching its tiny limbs. Its leg had been set with a temporary brace, and it was beginning to walk, albeit cautiously. Rylan watched it for a moment. "It's stronger than I thought," he said. "It may be small, but it has spirit," Lyra smiled. "And intelligence." It watches everything, remembers everything. I think it understands us more than we realize. Let's hope the Rhinari see that too, Rylan muttered. Or we're going to have more than words to deal with. His worry was not unfounded. Sensors on the colony's perimeter picked up movement near the forest edge. Fast, precise, and silent Rhinari scouts. They had returned, now observing more closely. They moved in patterns that suggested training, discipline, and a readiness to strike. Rylan called an emergency briefing. The command room filled with humans, engineers, and security officers. The holographic display showed the scouts' positions and their likely approach vectors. They are testing us, Rylan said. They want to see our strength, our readiness. Any sudden move could provoke them. We need to stay calm but be ready. Lieutenant Kira, his second-in-command, frowned. Calm, they outnumber us. They are stronger, faster, and armed with weapons we haven't fully studied. How do we fight that? By being human, Rylan said. By being unpredictable, resourceful, and united. That's our advantage. They expect fear. They will not expect courage. While the humans prepared, the cub wandered freely in a secure area of the lab. It had begun to show unusual abilities. Small things at first. A flicker of light in response to its excitement, objects moving slightly when it focused. Lyra noticed it and frowned thoughtfully. Could it manipulate energy? She whispered. It's subtle, but it's there. Rylan overheard her. If it's true, that could change everything. But it could also make things worse if the Rhinari notice. As if on cue, a deep rumble echoed through the colony. The ground shook. The Rhinari fleet appeared over the horizon. Sleek, dark ships, each bristling with energy weapons and defensive shields. They did not attack immediately, but hovered, watching. The humans stared from the colony, the magnitude of the situation sinking in. Defensive positions, Rylan ordered. Shields up, turrets online, fighters ready. But do not fire unless fired upon. The Rhinari sent a second envoy, this one accompanied by armed guards. They approached with a mixture of authority and caution. The first envoy, the parent of the cub, hovered behind them, silent and watchful. Its eyes glowed faintly red, filled with suspicion and anger. Rylan stepped forward to meet them. We do not wish to fight. We are protecting the cub. The Rhinari leader clicked sharply, a sound that made every human in the vicinity tense. Your species claims what is not yours. The cub is ours. Return it now or you will face destruction. Rylan shook his head. It is injured. It cannot survive alone. We will care for it. Once it is strong, we will return it safely. The Rhinari leader's eyes narrowed. You underestimate the importance of this cub. It is not just an offspring. It is the future of its people. You cannot bargain with it. A tense silence followed. The air seemed to thrum with anticipation. The cub, sensing the danger, let out a soft whistle, its small body tense. Rylan knelt beside it, placing a hand gently on its back. You're safe, he whispered. We will not let anything happen to you. Suddenly, without warning, one of the Rhinari scouts fired a warning shot near the colony. The energy beam burned a small crater in the ground, sending sparks flying. Humans scrambled to their stations, shields activating instantly. Rylan's voice cut through the alarms. Hold fire! Do not attack unless necessary! We need to show them we are not their enemy. But the warning shot had done its job. The tension exploded. Other Rhinari ships moved into firing positions, preparing for assault. The humans were outnumbered, but they had ingenuity on their side. Lyra ran calculations on her portable console. Commander, if we can use the terrain and our defense drones, we might hold them off long enough to negotiate. Rylan nodded. Do it. Focus on defense, not retaliation. We buy time, not lives. The battle began quietly, almost surgically. Rhinari fighters moved fast, testing the humans' reactions. Drones whirred, intercepting beams and creating shields where needed. Human engineers adapted quickly, rerouting energy to reinforce weak points. It was not a victory. It was survival. During the fighting, the cub displayed something extraordinary. It stepped forward, staring at a Rhinari fighter hovering too close. Its small paws trembled slightly. But then a pulse of energy radiated outward. The fighter shuddered, systems glitching, and then drifted away harmlessly. Lyra gasped. It's defending us. Rylan watched in disbelief. It's using its abilities deliberately. It knows what's happening. The Rhinari parent noticed immediately. Its eyes widened in shock and recognition. The cub's loyalty to humans was undeniable, yet it was still one of their own species. The parent's mind raced, torn between rage, fear, and a new understanding. Back in the command room, Rylan assessed the situation. They will not retreat easily. Their fleet is superior, but we can hold them if we stay smart. We need to negotiate, not fight. He activated the communication link. Envoy, we are willing to discuss a solution. Violence will not help your cub or your people. The Rhinari envoy responded, their tone sharp. Your words are meaningless. Actions speak. The cub belongs with us. You cannot keep it. Rylan clenched his fists. We saved a life. We cannot return it to death or neglect. That is our choice. The Rhinari envoy's eyes flickered, frustration evident. You do not understand our ways. The cub is sacred. You will learn the cost of defiance. The standoff continued for hours. Both sides watched, waiting for the other to make a mistake. But the cub had another plan. It stepped into the open, small yet fearless. Its golden fur shimmered as it concentrated, sending a pulse of energy toward a hovering Rhinari ship. Systems faltered again, forcing the ship to retreat. The humans stared in awe. The Rhinari leaders stared in disbelief. The cub was not just a symbol of innocence, it was a force neither species could ignore. Rylan knelt beside the cub, whispering, You may have just changed everything. The Rhinari parent approached slowly, cautiously. It defends you, it said. Its clicks and hums translated into human words. It chooses humans over its own kind? Lyra shook her head. It doesn't choose yet. It trusts us, and we have kept it safe. The parent's gaze softened slightly, but tension remained. Trust can be broken. Loyalty is tested. If your species harms it, there will be consequences beyond your understanding. Rylan nodded. We understand. We only wish to protect it. Nothing more. The Rhinari withdrew slightly, communicating silently with their fleet. For now, the humans had survived, but the warning was clear. Any mistake could trigger a full-scale war. That night, Rylan walked the corridors, deep in thought. The cub slept quietly in the lab, unaware of the danger that still loomed. Outside, sensors picked up patrols moving in the distance. Rhinari ships remained in orbit, silent, watching. He met Lyra in the lab. It's more than a cub, she said softly. It's a bridge. If we handle this right, it could change everything between our species. Rylan looked out at the forest. Or it could start a war. One misstep and Krivos will burn. The colony braced for the days ahead. Defensive systems were upgraded. Drones patrolled the skies and humans practiced coordination drills. Every decision carried weight. The cub, oblivious to the strategies and weapons around it, slept peacefully, trusting humans completely. And yet, the Rhinari were patient. They did not attack indiscriminately. They watched, calculated, and waited for the perfect moment. They understood the humans' abilities and weaknesses. They respected strength, intelligence, and courage, qualities humans had in abundance. But war was never far from their minds. Every action, every choice, could escalate into a conflict neither side wanted but both were prepared for. As the second day on Krivos ended, Rylan returned to the lab. The cub stirred, looking at him with wide, curious eyes. He knelt, letting it nuzzle his hand. You've made this complicated, he whispered, smiling despite the tension. But I think we'll find a way. The cub chirped softly, as if agreeing. Outside, the Rhinari parent watched from the shadows, understanding dawning. Their child had survived, yes, but it had also chosen humans. And that choice could change the galaxy forever. Tomorrow would bring new tests, new dangers, and new alliances. Humans and Rhinari were on the edge of a war that began over a cub. But it was a war that could also become something greater. Understanding, cooperation, and the start of a bond between species. And so, the stage was set. Krivos was no longer just a mining colony. It had become a battlefield of courage, loyalty, and intelligence. And at the heart of it all was a cub, small but powerful, innocent but pivotal, whose choices would shape the fate of both humans and Rhinari. The sun rose over Krivos again, but the orange light now carried the weight of war. The Rhinari fleet remained in orbit, silent and watchful, while the human colony tightened defenses. Commander Rylan stood at the command center, his eyes scanning the data streams. Every movement, every blip on the sensors mattered. The cub had grown stronger overnight, and its presence was now more than symbolic, it was vital. Lieutenant Kira approached him, her expression tense. Commander, scouts report unusual energy readings near the cub's area. It's different, stronger, more controlled. Rylan nodded slowly. It's learning. Whatever ability it has, it's becoming sharper. We need to understand it before the Rhinari do. In the lab, Dr. Lyra knelt beside the cub. Its golden fur shimmered in the morning light as it focused on small floating objects. They moved gently, almost dancing around it. Lyra's eyes widened. It's manipulating energy. Deliberately, it's intelligent enough to control it. The cub looked up, meeting her gaze. There was a spark in its eyes, an awareness of purpose, of choice. Lyra felt a shiver run down her spine. This isn't just instinct. It knows what it's doing. Outside, the colony buzzed with activity. Defensive drones hovered, turrets were calibrated, and human pilots practiced maneuvers in the orbital simulators. Every human was aware that the next encounter with the Rhinari could change everything. Suddenly, the sensors flashed red. A small squadron of Rhinari ships had broken formation, approaching the colony from an unexpected angle. Their intentions were clear. They were testing the humans again, probing for weaknesses. Rylan's voice was steady but urgent. All units prepare for engagement. Remember, defense first, retaliation only if necessary. Protect the cub at all costs. The battle began. Energy beams streaked through the sky, colliding with shields and sending sparks flying. Human drones darted through the chaos, intercepting attacks and providing cover for the colony. But the Rhinari were relentless, moving with precision and strategy that tested every human defense. Amid the chaos, the cub acted. It ran toward a hovering Rhinari fighter, small but determined. Its paws glowed faintly and a pulse of energy shot outward. The ship shuddered, systems flickering, and then spun away harmlessly. Unbelievable, Lyra shouted. It's doing it on purpose. It's protecting us. Rylan's eyes narrowed. It's more than protection. It's learning to fight, or to defend. On the Rhinari flagship, the parent watched in horror. Their child was using its powers against them, aligning with humans instead of its own species. A mixture of fear, confusion, and sadness crossed their features. Meanwhile, a group of Rhinari dissenters, younger warriors who had begun questioning their leader's approach, observed the battle from a distance. They whispered among themselves. The humans, they are not weak. And the cub, it chooses humans. Perhaps we have judged incorrectly. The dissenters made a bold decision. Instead of attacking the humans directly, they signaled to their comrades, trying to delay the assault. Their choice could change the course of the conflict or make them targets of their own fleet. Back on the ground, Rylan coordinated defensive strategies. We hold them off here, but we need to find a way to communicate with the dissenters. If even a few are willing to understand, it could shift the balance. Lyra turned to him, concern in her eyes. And if they refuse? If the Rhinari attack in full force? Rylan's jaw tightened. Then we survive, we adapt. That's what humans do. As the day progressed, the battle intensified. The cub's energy pulses disrupted Rhinari systems repeatedly, giving humans small but crucial advantages. Engineers scrambled to reverse engineer what they could, studying how the cub influenced energy fields and adapting it to defensive systems. Rylan realized the opportunity. We can't just survive, we can change this. If we show the Rhinari the cub's loyalty to humans, they may see reason. But we have to act carefully. He gathered a small team for a daring mission, to take a shuttle directly to the Rhinari flagship and negotiate. I will not risk the colony, he said. But if we can speak to their leaders directly, we might prevent full-scale war. Lieutenant Kira frowned. It's dangerous, Commander. They could attack at any moment. I know, Rylan replied. But sometimes diplomacy requires courage, and sometimes it requires sacrifice. The shuttle lifted off, weaving through the battlefield. Rhinari ships monitored them but did not immediately fire. Perhaps they recognized the human intent, or perhaps they were curious. Either way, Rylan pressed forward. On the flagship, the Rhinari parent awaited. Their eyes flickered between anger and fear, watching their child remain with the humans below. When Rylan's shuttle docked, the parent approached. You come to bargain? It asked, its voice sharp but uncertain. We come to save lives, Rylan replied. Your cub is alive because of humans. We will not harm it. But we want peace. The parent's eyes narrowed. Peace is fragile. Your species has already interfered with what is sacred. How do I trust you? Rylan gestured toward the cub, visible through a transmission link from the colony. The small creature played quietly, but its golden fur shimmered with energy, a sign of its powers and intelligence. This cub is more than a child, Rylan said. It has chosen humans. Not because it hates its kind, but because it knows we can protect it. Look at it. It understands, it trusts. We can learn from this together. The parents' gaze softened slightly, torn by the sight. Their child, their pride, had survived. But it had also bonded with the humans in a way that could not be undone. Meanwhile, back at the colony, the dissenting Rhinari warriors took action. They moved to disrupt attacks from extremists in their fleet, creating openings that allowed humans to fortify positions and reduce casualties. It was risky, but it worked. The tide of the battle shifted subtly, showing the power of cooperation. Rylan and the Rhinari parents spent hours in tense negotiation. Words were careful, measured, and filled with the weight of life and death. Your child is extraordinary, the parent admitted. It does not belong fully to one species, perhaps. It is a bridge, Rylan repeated. Yes, between humans and Rhinari. If we work together, we can prevent further bloodshed. The parent nodded slowly. I will try. But extremists among my people will not listen. They will strike. You must prepare. Rylan's mind raced. Then we fight together if necessary. For the cub, for peace, for survival. As night fell, Krivos glowed with the aftermath of the day's battle. Fires burned in parts of the forest, drones patrolled the skies, and energy shields hummed faintly. But there was hope now. Small, fragile, but real. In the lab, the cub curled up under a warm lamp. Its energy pulses had slowed, leaving it tired but calm. Lyra sat beside it, marveling at the creature's resilience. You've done more than defend us, she said softly. You've given humans and Rhinari a chance to understand each other. Rylan entered quietly, placing a hand on Lyra's shoulder. We've survived today because of courage, intelligence, and trust. And because of this little one. But tomorrow will be harder. The extremists will act? We must be ready. The cub opened its eyes, gazing at them with a quiet confidence. It had seen the battle, understood the risks, and chosen to stand with humans. Its presence was now not just symbolic, it was pivotal. Outside in the forest and in orbit, the Rhinari parent communicated with dissenters and leaders alike. Arguments erupted, plans were reconsidered, and the idea of cooperation began to take root. It was fragile, imperfect, and easily broken, but it existed. Rylan walked to the observation deck, looking at the horizon. The colony was battered, the forest scarred, but the humans had shown resilience. They had adapted, survived, and even inspired a change among their most formidable opponents. This is what humanity does, he murmured to himself. We fight, we survive, and we find a way to make allies out of enemies. The cub's small whistle echoed softly in the lab, a reminder that even in a galaxy filled with war and danger, innocence and courage could create hope. It had started as a simple act, saving a helpless creature, but it had grown into something far greater, a turning point in a conflict that could have destroyed both species. And so, as Krivos slept under a sky dotted with Rhinari ships, both sides prepared for the next day. Humans strengthened defenses and honed strategies. Rhinari extremists plotted revenge. And at the heart of it all, the cub rested, unaware that its choices and its bond with humans had shifted the fate of two species. Tomorrow would bring challenges greater than today. Extremists would strike, alliances would be tested, and survival would demand courage, intelligence, and unity. But for the first time, hope was real. The war that began over a cub had reached its turning point, and it was only the beginning. The sky over Krivos burned with streaks of orange and red as the first light of dawn touched the jagged mountains. The human colony was quiet but tense. Commander Rylan stood at the observation deck scanning the horizon. The Rhinari fleet remained in orbit, silent and looming, but the extremists had begun to make their move. Commander, Lieutenant Kira said, her voice tight. We've detected multiple Rhinari strike teams approaching from the northern ridge. They're moving fast and coordinated. They plan to hit the colony directly. Rylan's jaw tightened. Prepare defenses, this is it. Today will decide everything. Shields at full power, drones ready, fighters armed. And keep the cub safe, its presence is more important than ever. Dr. Lyra appeared beside him, holding the cub. It had grown slightly, its golden fur shimmering faintly with the energy it had already shown. The small creature looked up at Rylan and chirped softly as if sensing the danger. You ready, little one? Rylan asked, kneeling beside it. The cub nudged his hand gently. Rylan smiled despite the tension. Then let's show them what humans can do. The first strike came just after sunrise. Extremist Rhinari ships broke from formation, firing energy blasts toward the colony. The humans responded immediately, drones intercepting beams, turrets rotating with precision. The sky was alive with movement, a deadly dance of speed, fire, and ingenuity. Ryland's strategy was simple but effective. He had learned from previous encounters: defend, adapt, and exploit weaknesses. Humans had fewer numbers, but their creativity and coordination gave them a crucial edge. The cub, sensing danger, moved toward a group of advancing Rhinari drones. Its paws glowed faintly as it focused, sending pulses of energy outward. The drones wobbled in the air, systems malfunctioning, then crashed harmlessly into the rocky ground. "Unbelievable," Lyra shouted. "It's controlling technology without touching it." Ryland nodded grimly. "We have to use that. Every advantage counts." On the Rhinari flagship, the parent watched anxiously. Their child was defending humans, their own species' enemies. Anger, fear, and awe filled their gaze. It is fighting with them," they said softly. "We cannot destroy it." But the extremists will not listen. The dissenters among the Rhinari fleet acted decisively. They moved to block the extremists, creating chaos in their ranks. Energy beams crossed paths, some hitting shields, some missing entirely. Humans capitalized on the confusion, reinforcing key defensive positions and protecting civilians. Ryland knew this was their chance. He activated the communication link. "To the dissenters, this battle does not have to continue. The cub is proof. We can protect life together. Stand with us and we can stop this bloodshed." There was a pause. Then one by one, dissenting Rhinari ships slowed their attacks, signaling to humans that they were ready to cooperate. The tide of the battle shifted. The extremists, however, were not ready to yield. They regrouped for a concentrated strike, aiming directly for the colony's energy core. If it was destroyed, the humans would be defenseless. Ryland's heart pounded. "We cannot let them hit the core. Lyra, get the cub. We need its help." The cub ran without hesitation, moving toward the approaching ships. Its golden fur glowed brightly and energy radiated outward. Extremist ships faltered as their systems glitched, unable to maintain formation. They spun out of control, some crashing into the Rocky Mountains, others forced to retreat. "Keep going," Ryland shouted. "You can do it!" The parent Rhinari watched in awe as their child acted decisively, defending humans with courage and intelligence. They understood now that this cub was more than an individual. It was a bridge between species, a symbol of hope. The battle reached its climax. Human drones, fighters, and the cub worked in harmony, a coordinated effort that even the extremists could not anticipate. Energy pulses from the cub disrupted enemy ships while humans used terrain and ingenuity to outmaneuver attacks. Finally, the last wave of extremists faltered. Ryland signaled to his forces. "Hold fire! Stand down! The threat is ending." The Rhinari parent approached the humans directly, their massive form towering but calm. "Your species, you are not weak. Your courage and intelligence, they are remarkable. And the cub, it is chosen wisely, perhaps. Together we can ensure peace." Ryland nodded. "That is all we have ever wanted. Protection, understanding, and a chance to coexist." The dissenting Rhinari warriors lowered their weapons, joining the humans in a gesture of cooperation. The extremists, realizing they were outnumbered and outmaneuvered, retreated. For now, the colony and Krivos was safe. In the aftermath, the humans tended to their wounded, repaired damage, and secured the colony. Lyra examined the cub, marveling at its abilities. "It's incredible," she said softly. "It didn't just defend us, it led us. It taught us what courage and loyalty mean." Ryland crouched beside the cub. "You've done more than survive," he said. "You've changed the course of this war." The Rhinari parent approached, placing a claw gently on the cub's back. "My child," it said, "you have proven the value of understanding. You have saved lives of both species. You are a bridge we cannot ignore." The cub chirped softly, curling against both humans and its parent. In that moment, the past conflicts, the battles, and the tension melted into a fragile but undeniable trust. Leaders from both species met to discuss the future. Humans and Rhinari agreed to share resources, protect civilians, and cooperate in exploration and defense. The cub's role as a symbol of peace was recognized by all. Ryland addressed the assembly. "We started with a simple act, saving a life. But that act has shown us something greater. Even in a galaxy filled with conflict, courage, loyalty, and intelligence can create hope. We fought together, survived together, and learned to understand each other. The Rhinari parent nodded. And from now on, humans are not enemies. They are allies. The cub will remind us of what is possible when species choose understanding over conflict. As the days passed, Krivos began to heal. Humans and Rhinari worked side by side, repairing buildings, clearing battle damage, and sharing knowledge. The cub grew stronger, learning from both species, embodying the best qualities of each. Rylan watched from the observation deck. "We faced war," he said to Lyra, "and it nearly destroyed us. But in the end, courage, intelligence, and trust made the difference. That's humanity," Lyra smiled. "And that cub is a reminder that even the smallest life can change everything." The Rhinari parent approached him once more. "Commander, your species has surprised us. You fight with wisdom, not just strength. You survive because you adapt. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated humans. We will not make that mistake again." Rylan nodded, feeling a sense of pride and relief. "We will continue to prove that humans are capable of more than survival. We can inspire, protect, and lead if we are given the chance." The cub chirped, running to Rylan and nuzzling his hand. He laughed softly. "Yes, little one. You have shown us all the way." In the sky above Krivos, human and Rhinari ships flew side by side. The war that began over a cub had ended not with destruction, but with understanding. Civilians watched from the ground, seeing the alliance in action, realizing that cooperation and courage were stronger than fear and conflict. As night fell, the colony glowed with warmth and life. Fires from the battle were gone, replaced by lights of rebuilding and hope. The cub slept peacefully, knowing it was protected by humans and respected by its own species. It had chosen wisely, and its choice had changed the fate of Krivos. Commander Rylan stood at the edge of the colony, looking at the stars. He knew this was just the beginning. There would be challenges ahead, other species to meet, other conflicts to face. But for the first time, humans and Rhinari had learned that courage, intelligence, and loyalty could overcome fear and aggression. The cub stirred, opening its eyes and letting out a soft whistle. Rylan knelt beside it. "We did it, together. You showed us what is possible." The Rhinari parent placed a claw gently on his shoulder. "Indeed. Today is proof that even the smallest life can teach the greatest lessons. Let this be the start of a new future." And so, Krivos entered a new era. Humans and Rhinari coexisted, learning from each other and growing stronger together. The cub, once lost and injured, became the symbol of unity, courage, and hope, a living testament that even in the harshest worlds, understanding and trust could prevail. The war that began over a cub had ended, but its legacy would last for generations. And humanity had once again shown the galaxy why they were not to be underestimated. Intelligent, courageous, and willing to protect life no matter the risk. In the quiet of the night, the cub curled up between Rylan and its parent, golden fur shimmering in the soft glow of Krivos's moons. Stars sparkled above, reflecting a future built not on fear, but on loyalty, trust, and the bonds that can grow even in the most unlikely places. The galaxy had seen the courage of humans, and for the first time they understood. One small act of protection, one choice to do what was right could change everything, and so, the story of Krivos, the cub, and the humans would be told for generations. A tale of war that began over a cub, but ended with unity, hope, and the undeniable strength of humanity.